Deep within a forest far from any road near London, there is a place where maps stop making sense. Paths loop back without warning. Trees seem to grow in patterns that no one can explain. And at the center of it all, there is a man. No one knows his name, because no one has ever asked him twice. Locals speak about him in quiet voices. They say he has been there for years, maybe decades. Some claim he hasn't aged at all. Others say he was never meant to be human. Daniel first heard about him in a small village pub. An old man leaned toward him and whispered, "If you see him, don't follow." Naturally, Daniel did the opposite. The forest felt normal at first. Birds chirping, wind moving softly through the branches, sunlight breaking through leaves in calm patterns. But after walking deeper, something changed. The sounds faded, one by one, until only silence remained. Daniel stopped. "This again," he muttered. The air felt heavier, colder, like something had noticed him. Then, he saw the cabin. Small, wooden, perfectly placed in a clearing that shouldn't exist. No smoke from the chimney, no movement. But the door was open. Daniel stepped closer, his heartbeat slow but heavy. "Hello," he called. No answer. He stepped inside. The interior was simple. A bed, a table, a chair. And on the table, a cup. Still warm. Daniel froze. That's not possible. Then, a voice behind him. Calm. Quiet. "You shouldn't be here." Daniel turned slowly. The man stood in the doorway. Tall. Thin. Wearing clothes that didn't belong to any time. His face was pale, almost still, but his eyes, they were too aware. "I didn't mean to," Daniel said. The man tilted his head slightly. "Everyone means to." Silence filled the room. "What is this place?" Daniel asked. The man stepped inside, closed the door behind him. "You don't ask that." "Why not?" The man's expression didn't change. "Because if you understand, you don't leave." Daniel's chest tightened. "I'm leaving right now." The man nodded slowly. "You can try." Daniel turned, grabbed the handle, and pulled. The door opened. But outside wasn't the forest anymore. Just darkness. Endless. Waiting. Daniel stepped back instantly, his breath uneven. "That's not the forest." The man watched him quietly. "It was," he said. "What do you mean it was?" The man walked slowly toward the table, as if nothing unusual had happened. "You came too far." Daniel shook his head. "I followed a path." The man sat down. "There are no paths here." Silence pressed against the walls. Daniel looked again toward the door. The darkness remained. Still. Unmoving. "What are you?" Daniel asked. The man didn't answer immediately. Instead, he reached for the cup on the table and took a slow sip. "Then I stay." "That's not an answer." "It is here." Daniel stepped closer. "You're keeping people here?" The man looked up. No, a pause. "They keep themselves." Daniel frowned. "That makes no sense." The man placed the cup down carefully. "It will." The walls of the cabin shifted slightly. Almost unnoticeable. But enough. "What was that?" Daniel whispered. The man didn't react. "Tell me something," he said calmly. "What?" "Do you remember how you got here?" Daniel opened his mouth. Stopped. His thoughts paused. I walked." "From where?" Silence. Daniel's chest tightened. "I don't remember the exactly." The word landed heavy. Daniel stepped back. "No, that's not possible." The man stood slowly. "You think this forest traps your body." A pause. "It doesn't." He stepped closer. "It traps your direction, your memory, your reason." The darkness outside the door shifted slightly, like something was moving inside it. "You can leave," the man continued. "But you won't know where to go." Daniel felt panic rising. "I'll find a way." The man shook his head slowly. "You already tried." The words echoed strangely. "Before." The cabin grew quieter than silence itself. Daniel's heart was pounding now. "You're lying." The man didn't respond. He simply walked past Daniel and opened a small drawer beneath the table. Inside were pages. Dozens of them, all filled with writing. The man handed one to him. "Read." Daniel hesitated, then looked down. The handwriting was his. His breath stopped. This isn't possible." The page described the forest, the path, the silence, the cabin, every detail, even the conversation. Up to that exact moment. Daniel dropped the paper. "No." The man spoke calmly. "You write it every time." Daniel backed away. "I've never been here before." The man looked at him. Not with anger. Not with emotion. With certainty. "You always say that." The walls of the cabin shifted again. Stronger this time. The air thickened. The darkness outside the door pulsed faintly. Daniel turned toward it. I'm leaving. The man nodded. You always do. Daniel ran to the door, stepped into the darkness, and suddenly, he was back in the forest. Normal. Trees. Wind. Sound. Everything real again. He collapsed to his knees, breathing heavily. I made it. Days passed. Then weeks. Life returned to normal. Or at least it seemed to. Until one night, Daniel sat at his desk, staring at a blank page. A strange feeling in his chest, like something unfinished. Without thinking, he picked up a pen and began to write. About a forest, a cabin, a man who lives alone. And as the words appeared, his hand didn't stop. Because somewhere deep in the forest, inside a cabin that never moved, a man sat at a table, waiting for the next version of him to arrive. Again,